Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something I think everyone struggles with, right?
Yeah.
Why do we often start things with so much energy and then, poof, the momentum just vanishes?
Yeah, it's a classic problem.
So our mission for this deep dive is really to get under the hood of why relying on motivation, well, it often lets us down.
Mm,
We want to find those powerful alternatives that actually drive lasting progress based on the great material you shared.
mm-hmm.
So if motivation's just this fleeting spark, what's the actual fuel? What can we really count on?
That really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Because, like the sources point out right away, leaning on motivation is fundamentally flawed.
It's log cat.
Well, what can you rely on? Definitely not motivation itself. It's temporary by nature. It's a feeling, right? Comes and goes with your mood, your emotions, maybe even how much sleep you got.
Okay.
So that makes it incredibly unreliable if you need consistency over the long haul, if you wait for it. Oh, you might be waiting a long time. It kind of sets you up to fail.
That makes sense. So it sounds like we need to shift from just hoping we feel like it to something more active, more internal.
Exactly.
And the sources suggest it's not just one thing, but layers, starting with discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't about being some kind of robot, is it? It's more about taking action even when you really don't want to.
Right? Even when every part of you is saying, nah, later.
And what's interesting is how doing that consistently, even when you're not motivated, builds this trust with yourself.
Yeah.
Like proving to yourself you can follow through.
Yeah, that self-trust piece is huge, and it feeds directly into the next big idea, habits beat willpower.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, think about it. Willpower is finite, right? It gets drained.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of constantly fighting that internal resistance, which is exhausting, the sources really hammer home the power of small, consistent routines, habits.
Right.
Because habits reduce that decision fatigue, the mental energy you burn just deciding whether or not to do something.
Oh, yeah. I feel that.
When it's a habit, you just do it, almost automatically. Less thinking, less internal debate, much higher chance of getting it done. It's like setting your default to success.
I like that. Setting your default.
I hate
And then once you have those habits kind of wired in, the next level seems to be about creating entire systems, not just relying on emotion or individual actions.
Exactly. Systems, not emotion. That's a great way to put it.
So instead of waiting for inspiration, you set up structures that guide your day. Things like a specific morning routine maybe, or a to-do list you actually stick to, or time blocking.
They're all systems. They help you act without having to consciously think or drum up motivation each time. It just makes progress feel, well, almost inevitable, like water flowing downhill, as you said earlier.
Right. It removes the guesswork.
And connecting that to the bigger picture, something your research clearly shows, is how much our environment shapes behavior.
Okay, so not just habits and systems, but our actual surroundings.
Absolutely. This isn't just about being neat, though that can help. It's about intentionally designing your space, your environment, to actively support your goals.
Like hiding the cookies?
Yeah, or removing distractions from your desk if you need to focus, or prepping your gym bag the night before. Little things that make the desired action easier and the undesired one harder.
I see.
You just perform better when your environment is working for you, not against you. What's really striking is how much sort of subtle control we gain over our own behavior just by managing our surroundings.
Okay, so practically speaking then, for you listening, what does this boil down to? The advice seems clear. Start small, stay consistent.
Crucial point.
You don't need these massive life-altering changes overnight. Real transformation, the kind that sticks, comes from those small daily actions repeated over time.
Yeah.
The sources are super clear. Consistency beats intensity. Always. A little bit every day adds up way more than huge sporadic efforts.
And that leads to maybe the most counterintuitive but powerful idea of all, which the behavioral science really backs up. Motivation follows action.
Wait, say that again. Motivation follows action, not the other way around.
Exactly. We usually think we need to feel motivated before we start something.
Right. That's how it feels.
But the research shows it often works in reverse. You take the action first, even a tiny action, and that creates momentum. Your brain rewards you after you do the thing, which then generates the feeling of motivation to keep going.
So just starting is the key.
Just starting, taking that first step, however small, often kicks things into gear. The motivation catches up because you began.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
That flips the script entirely. So, wrapping up this deep dive, the big shift we've explored is moving away from relying on that unreliable spark of motivation.
Which goes and goes.
And moving towards the solid foundation of discipline, the power of habits, the structure of systems, and intentionally shaping your environment. Real lasting progress seems to come from that consistent, intentional effort day after day, not waiting for inspiration to strike.
Perfectly put. So for you listening, here's a final thought to chew on, challenging that old reliance on waiting for motivation. What's one small system or maybe one tiny tweak to your environment that you could implement today to make an action you want to take tomorrow just a little bit easier?
Interesting challenge.
Yeah. Think about one consistent action you could start this week without waiting to feel motivated, just to experience for yourself how that motivation can actually follow your lead.